Hi guys, this is Dayo. So today in this video, I'm going to be showing you my complete process from sketch to finish. But before then, I'm going to be showing you three methods in which you can sketch your portrait. So at first, this first method that I'm going to be illustrating for you is the guideline method. Using guidelines, using um, grid. You can also use grid instead of just lines, straight lines. You can use both horizontal and vertical lines, which will form a grid. But if you choose to do it this way, you can still do it. So it's all up to you. It depends on what your own preference. So yeah, I'm going to be using these lines as my guidelines, and make sure your reference it's kept aside, like make sure your reference is in the same canvas with your the space in which you're going to sketch. So make sure the resolution is a little bit the resolution of your canvas is a bit bigger than usual. So yeah, just make sure you measure the distance between the eyebrow. Measure the distance between the eyebrow to the mouth, and measure the distance between the mouth, or the lips rather, to the jaw, and so on and so forth. So these arrows are just guidelines on how you're going to be visualizing your reference, and how to measure the distances between the hair, from the hair to the eyebrow, from the eyebrow to the mouth, from the mouth to the jaw and the cheek and the rest. So this is just like a visual representation or an illustration on how to use guidelines to as a guide to draw your portraits. So yeah, this is just like I'm trying to like do a rough sketch on how the final result is going to how the final result is going to turn out. So this is actually really looking nice. This is actually really looking nice. It's expected for you to is expected for you to start I'll say not expected, is advisable for you to start with the hair. It's advisable for you to start with the hair, sketching of the hair. Then just make sure you start loose. Make sure you start from the big shapes of the portrait. Just make sure you visualize the negative space and the positive space. I've done a tutorial on how to know where is the positive space and where is the negative space. The positive space is where the subject is, and the negative space is where the background is. So that's the foreground and the background. The foreground is the positive state, and as the background is the negative space. So yeah, this is just like a way for you to train your visual memory, and for you to know how to measure the distance using your eye. These guidelines is a very using guidelines is a very good method to use on your portrait drawing and portrait studies. So yeah, this is one of the most recommended um, method of sketching for beginners, most especially when you're just new to portrait drawing and illustrations. So yeah, this is just like practically how I go about sketching using guidelines. And it is going to be somehow depressing sometimes when you don't get the right proportion of the reference. Don't be discouraged. Just make sure you keep on practicing. Just make sure you keep on practicing, and make sure the space you've given for the sketch is enough for the subjects um to 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 dwell in. Like, make sure the space you've given for the sketch um should be enough for the whole foreground and the background. So just make sure you give enough space for your sketching while seeing the reference by the side, and make sure you keep on measuring and keep on visualizing the distance between the features of the facial features. So yeah, this is actually the first method I'm going to be showing you in this particular um, tutorial. So um, we're going to the next method. So in the second method, it's all about using shapes, using cycle, geometric shapes, whatever shapes that you think it's easy for you to replicate. You can just practically lay them down on your sketch, and make sure it's on a different layer. Just lay them down on a sketch and make sure you can easily replicate them. You can start breaking down the shapes from the hair. As you can see, that is exactly what I'm doing in this video. I'm breaking down and I'm segmenting the face, I'm segmenting the body into different basic shapes and into big shapes in which I can easily replicate by the side. As you can see, I am exactly drawing what I've laid down by the side, in which helps me to easily replicate and know the position of my eyes, my nose, my mouth. So these big shapes and guidelines are essential for beginners to use as guidelines instead of them to have difficulty in just roughly sketching it, just without guidelines. And it's going to be very bad, because before you get the real proportion and perspective of the image, is going to be very difficult. So this is just a practically the rundown of my sketch. I just practically did some adjustment on the sketch, and I started loose and just did some basic adjustment and make sure the perspective and the proportion of the eyes and the nose and the neck and everything is correlating with the initial reference. So yeah, I'm done with my sketch. All I'm going to be doing now is adding flat colors. I'm going to be adding my base color. This is just practically what I always do on my digital painting process. There's nothing different from this. I always just add flat colors immediately after I have sketched my paintings. So this is just practically laying down random colors that are on the image. Just, you can use color pickers to just pick out the colors and lay them down on the image, or if you have the basic knowledge, a proper knowledge of colors, you can just pick them out from your color wheel and place them on your at the top of your flat colors. But before then, I'm going to be showing you the ways in which you can blend these colors, because so many people are having difficulty in on how to blend these colors. So this is just like a cheat sheet in which I've created for you guys to follow along. The cheat sheet will be available in the description box, just in case you are interested in downloading. It's also available in my Pinterest board, just in case, so you can just read through it and understand how I use brushes to the direction of the brushes and how I use brushes to blend. You can practically use a smudge brush or any blending brush to just practically blend them. Just make sure you read through and see the direction in which and the stroke in which the direction of the stroke and the pattern in which I use to blend. Just make sure you blend it according to how I've instructed you. You can also get this reference on Pinterest, on my Pinterest board. Just make sure you go and download it in my Pinterest board. Is totally free. So yeah, this is, as you can see, I'm just following the direction of the colors and how it is laid down on the reference. So make sure you just know how to blend it, regardless of your software, regardless of you using Procreate or using Autodesk Sketchbook or Clip Studio Paint or even Photoshop. It's advisable for you to just keep the settings of your brush very minimal, and make sure your pressure sensitivity is at the lowest, so as to have control of your blending. And that cheat sheet, guide, that tutorial cheat sheet in which I've created on how to show you how the direction and pattern of blending is going to help you a lot if you just read through and just zoom through and just see how I blend and the direction in which I use the brushes to blend. And also just practically the direction of the blending and the rest. So, and also after blending, you aren't safe yet, because you are still going to needs some detailing. So this is practically where the actual work is, because you are still, after blending, you are still going to be adjusting some direction of strokes. So but it's still not that difficult, because you have already done the real job there. Since you know the direction in which the flow of the colors are going, all you're practically going to be doing in the detailing is just to do some additional shading and do some additional adjustments of the colors, and where the colors are laid down, just practically adjustment of values and lights, and just the direction of the lights and where they are bouncing and where the shadows are. This is just practically what we are going to be doing in the detailing aspect. And also we are going to be adding some, we are just practically going to be adding some textures on the reference, adding some textures on the reference. I've done several tutorials on realistic painting, so this is just practically the same method on how I do my realistic paintings. So just the more time you give your paintings, the more realistic it's going to be. The more details you give it, the more realistic it's going to be. So that is all for this tutorial. If this tutorial was helpful, and if you have any question you want to ask, just drop it down in the comment section. Make sure you drop it down in the comment section. If you have any personal questions you want to ask me, I am available on my social media platform. I'm always online on my social media platform, both on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can get me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. What else? You can get me practically all the basic platforms. I'm also on DeviantArt. I'm also on ArtStation. You can just search on Dios GFX. I use the same name on my all my platforms. You can use underscore if you can't get the normal Dios GFX. You can remove the apostrophe. Just make sure you just use different way of spelling. You can remove the apostrophe, because some of the platforms don't um, they don't support using apostrophe. But yeah, you can use the same name. You can search for me in on every platform. I use practically the same name and the same logo. So yeah, if you are a new subscriber, I highly welcome you to this channel. I do tutorials, helpful tutorials. Once in a while, I post almost every month over here. Every 2 weeks of every month, I practically go on break sometimes, but I try my best to stay active. And also, if you have any challenge, you can, I have a Telegram group where I discuss with my students and I give them critiques on how to grow and how to improve their arts. I'm practically going to be doing a live session tomorrow, which is on Sunday, the 12th of June. So yeah, if you haven't joined my Telegram group yet, you can click on the link in the description box. Just click on the tap on the link in the description box. And also I'm going to be dropping the link in the comment section, just in case you don't know where the description box is. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. It has come to my notice that 70.1% of my viewers aren't subscribed to my channel. Please do well to subscribe to this channel. I've been helping you guys to grow, and I would really appreciate it if you subscribe and give this video a thumbs up and let your friends know about this channel. And yeah, thank you so much for sticking around. See you in my next video. Peace.